Today, we're going to talk about one of the most iconic handheld gaming consoles of all time, the Game Boy Color. Released in 1998, this handheld console quickly became a favorite among gamers of all ages. In this video, we'll be counting down the top 15 Game Boy Color games of all time. The rankings are based on a combination of factors, including overall quality, replayability, and impact on the gaming industry. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into this list of classic games that will surely bring back some fond memories. Number 15. Mario Tennis. Released in 2000, Mario Tennis was developed by Camelot Software Planning and published by Nintendo. The game was a follow-up to the successful Mario Tennis game released on a Nintendo 64. The Game Boy Color version featured improved graphics and gameplay mechanics, making it a must-have for fans of the series. The game's single-player mode allowed players to compete in various tournaments and challenges, each with their unique difficulty levels. The game's multiplayer mode was also a hit, allowing players to connect their Game Boy Color consoles and compete against each other in intense matches. The game's success led to the development of several sequels, including Mario Power Tennis and Mario Tennis Aces. Overall, Mario Tennis was a fantastic addition to the Game Boy Color library and remains a classic to this day, loved by fans of the Mario franchise and sports games alike. Number 14. Shante. Released in 2002, Shante is a game that truly stands the test of time. Its unique storyline and characters, combined with its challenging gameplay and beautiful graphics, make it a standout title on the Game Boy Color. The game follows the story of a half-genie named Shante, who must use her magical powers to save her town from an evil pirate named Risky Boots. The game's levels are designed to take advantage of Shante's abilities, with players having to use her hair as a whip to defeat enemies and navigate through various obstacles. The game's charming graphics and catchy soundtrack create a fun and immersive gaming experience that is still loved by fans today. Shante is a must-play game for any Game Boy Color owner looking for a unique and challenging platformer experience. Number 13. Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. Released in 1999, Super Mario Bros. Deluxe is not just a simple remake of the original Super Mario Bros. Game. It added new features that made the game even more enjoyable. The game included new levels that were not in the original game, as well as new power-ups that added new gameplay mechanics. The game also had a multiplayer mode that allowed players to compete against each other in various challenges. The game was a huge success and is still considered one of the best Mario games of all time. Its popularity led to development of other Mario games on the Game Boy Color, including Mario Golf and Mario Tennis. Number 12. Wario Land 3. Released in 2000, Wario Land 3 is not just a typical platformer game. It has a unique gameplay mechanic that sets it apart from other games in the genre. The game allows players to transform Wario into different creatures, each with their own set of abilities. This feature adds a new level of depth and strategy to the gameplay, as players must choose the right creature for each situation. The game also has a non-linear level design, which allows players to explore the game at their own pace. The game's graphics and sound are also top-notch, making it a must-play game for any Game Boy Color owner. Number 11. Tetris DX. Released in 1998, Tetris DX is not just a simple port of the original Tetris game. It adds new features that made the game even more enjoyable, if that was possible. The game included new game modes, such as Ultra Mode, which challenged players to clear as many lines as possible within a set time limit. The game also had a color graphics mode, which added a new level of visual appeal to the game. The game's addictive gameplay and new features made it a must-have for any Game Boy Color owner and cemented its place as one of the best puzzle games of all time. Number 10. Pokemon Pinball. Released in 1999, Pokemon Pinball is a game that combines the classic gameplay of pinball with the beloved Pokemon franchise. The game features two different pinball tables, each with its own set of challenges and objectives. Players can catch Pokemon by hitting certain targets on the table, and can evolve their Pokemon by completing certain objectives. The game also features a variety of mini-games and bonus stages, which add even more depth and replayability to this game. With its addictive gameplay and unique Pokemon theme, Pokemon Pinball is widely regarded as one of the best pinball games available on the Game Boy Color. Number 9. Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Country was a groundbreaking game when it first released on the Super Nintendo in 1994. The Game Boy Color port, released in 2000, brought the same great gameplay and graphics to the handheld console. The game follows Donkey Kong and his nephew Diddy Kong as they try to reclaim their stolen banana hoard from the evil King K. Rool. The game features a variety of levels, each with its own unique challenges and enemies. The game's graphics and sound are still top-notch, and the controls are tight and responsive. Donkey Kong Country is still considered one of the best platformers on the Game Boy Color and is a must-have for any fan of the genre. Number 8. Kirby Tilt and Tumble. Released in 2001, Kirby Tilt and Tumble is a game that truly utilized the Game Boy Color's unique features. The game's tilt sensor allowed players to control Kirby in a way that was completely different from any other game on the console. The game's levels were designed to take advantage of this feature, with players having to tilt the console in different directions to navigate Kirby through various obstacles and enemies. The game's graphics and sound were also impressive for a handheld console, making it a standout title on the Game Boy Color. Kirby Tilt and Tumble is still considered one of the most unique and innovative games on the console. It is a must-play for any Game Boy Color owner looking for a truly unique gaming experience. We're midway through, and I know there's probably other games that you'd put on this list, so be sure to sound off in the comments on anything you thought deserved to be here that we missed. And if you're enjoying the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Now, back to the list. Number 7. Mario Golf. Released in 1999, Mario Golf was not just any other sports game. It was a game that combined the fun and excitement of golf with the charm and whimsy of the Mario universe. The game featured a variety of characters from the Mario franchise, each with their own unique abilities and personalities. The game's graphics and sound were top-notch, the controls were tight and responsive, and the game had a variety of game modes, including tournament mode, stroke play, and match play. The game's addictive gameplay and fun multiplayer mode made it a must-play game for any Game Boy Color owner. Even today, Mario Golf is still considered one of the best golf games on the Game Boy Color, and is a testament to the enduring popularity of the Mario franchise. Number 6. Metal Gear Solid. Released in 2000, Metal Gear Solid on the Game Boy Color was a remarkable achievement, considering the limitations of the handheld console. The game's graphics and sound were impressive for a handheld console, and the controls were smooth and responsive. The game's stealth mechanics and intense boss battles made it a standout title on the system, and it remains a fan favorite among gamers to this day. The game's storyline and gameplay were faithful to the original game, making it a must-play for fans of the Metal Gear Solid franchise. The game's success on Game Boy Color paved the way for future Metal Gear Solid games on handheld consoles, including the critically acclaimed Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker on the PSP. Number 5. Harvest Moon 2. Released in 2000, this is a farming simulation game by Natsume. It features new crops and animals while maintaining the great gameplay of other Harvest Moon games. The game allows players to experience the joys and challenges of running their own farm, from planting and harvesting crops to raising livestock and building relationships with the townspeople. The game's charming graphics and relaxing soundtrack create a peaceful and immersive gaming experience that is still beloved by fans today. Harvest Moon 2 is widely regarded as one of the best simulation games on the console and is a must-play for any fan of the genre. Man, there sure were a lot of games released in 2000. What would have happened if Y2K really did go down? Anyway, back to the list. Number 4. Dragon Warrior 3. Dragon Warrior 3 is the third installment in the Dragon Warrior series and was originally released in Japan in 1988. The Game Boy Color version, released in 2001, was a faithful port of the original game and featured updated graphics and sound. The game follows the story of a hero who must save the world from an evil force that threatens to destroy it. The game features a deep and engaging storyline, as well as a variety of characters and enemies to encounter. The game's turn-based combat system is easy to learn but difficult to master, making it a challenging and rewarding experience for RPG fans. Overall, Dragon Warrior 3 is a classic RPG that still holds up today and is a must-play for any Game Boy Color owner looking for a great RPG experience, or anybody who wants to play a great RPG. It, along with the first 2 games, were re-released on the Switch eShop, and at some point we're getting a 2.5 HD remaster of this game, and I personally can't wait to see how that turns out. Number 3. Mega Man Extreme. Released in 2001, Mega Man Extreme is a game that successfully captures the essence of the Mega Man franchise while adding new elements that make it stand out from other games in the series. The game features a new storyline that takes place after the events of Mega Man X2 and X3 and introduces new bosses and power-ups that add a new level of challenge and excitement to the game. The game's graphics and sound are top-notch, the controls are tight and responsive, just like you'd expect from a Mega Man game. Mega Man Extreme is widely regarded as one of the best platformers available on the handheld console and is a must-play for any fan of the Mega Man franchise or platformer games in general. Number 2. The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages. Released in 2001, Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages are 2 of the most beloved games on the Legend of Zelda franchise. Developed by Capcom, these games were the only Zelda games to be developed by a third-party developer. The games feature a unique storyline that takes place in 2 different worlds, each with its own set of dungeons and bosses. The game also had a unique feature that allowed players to link the 2 games together, which unlocked additional content and provided a more complete story. This feature was groundbreaking at the time and added a new level of depth and replayability to the games. Overall, Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages are must-play games for any Zelda fan and are still considered some of the best games on Game Boy Color. Now before we get to number 1, I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have enjoyed this trip down memory lane and discovered some new games to add to your collection. If you have any personal favorites that didn't make the list, please let me know in the comments below. I always love hearing from you and value your feedback. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more gaming content. There are always plenty of exciting videos in the works, so stay tuned for more. And a special thank you to the people at World of Longplays, whose gameplay footage was used in the making of this video. Now, let's get on to the most obvious number 1 ever. Number 1. Pokemon Gold and Silver. These games were released in 1999 and are considered some of the best games in the entire Pokemon franchise. The games introduced new Pokemon, new regions, and new gameplay mechanics that made the games even more addictive. The games improved upon the formula of the original Pokemon games and added more depth and replayability. They also introduced the concept of day and night cycles, which added a new level of immersion into the game. The games were also the first in the series to allow players to choose between a male or a female protagonist, which added a new level of customization. Overall, Pokemon Gold and Silver are must-play games for any Pokemon fan and are still considered to be some of the best games on the Game Boy Color. And that concludes our list of the top 15 Game Boy Color games of all time. Until next time, this has been Azure Tony. Today, we found some fun in gaming, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves too. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll catch you next time.